All right, it's 2-1 Carolina. You know, Colin, it's not my job here to be a star or to try and do this tough investigative interview, but I am interested in this. You know, it drives me absolutely dizzy. Let's go to the penalties right away, and I want your assessment. What would you do? What is Matt Green going to do on this play? Let him go by, I guess.
Well, it's a one-on-one, and he's got lots of hands out there. You got to turn and skate, and that was one of the areas. Now, I know you can quibble and debate a lot of these calls. You get your free hand going, and one of the best in the business, Billy McCreary, is there making the call.
Yeah.
And he's holding him up. And those are some of the things we talked about. Don't use your free hand.
Last time you let a guy go, Rolison was out of the playoffs. Now, that one is I know it's maybe a hook, but it's a dive, too. You got good guys diving all over the place.
You're going to get embellishment, and that's one of the things we worried about.
It's a dive.
There's only two things. Well,
that's a penalty? Do you think that's a penalty?
There's only two things. There's one thing we worried about with this new enforcement of calling the penalties. It was the embellishment of these things. Just like that one there, the one before. It's a tough thing for a referee to call. But then the other thing surfaced was you killing it this year. So we had the two to deal with, the embellishment. But we knew that would happen, and it's a better game. You got to live with these things, and it's tough.
Why? Because it's not. It's deception. It's cheating. I don't want intimidation in the game, but that's cheating too. How many?
Sure, but there's lots of cheating like that. Little things that happen. I mean, players are going to do it. I mean, it's their job to win the games. It's not their job to make the call. They got to win the game, and we don't blame them for doing this. We hope that we can catch them, and it's the one thing that we'd like to clean up eventually. But you can't blame the players, especially now. The prize is the Stanley Cup.
But when we admit that they'll cheat, they'll do anything to win. Why put them on the committee? Because if you put them on the committee, they want to shine, they want to score goals.
The players don't want that, and diving's been the game for a long time. And
not like now, though, don't you think?
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, they know what the referees are going to call. We told them what the referees are going to call. So they fake it, they embellish, they dive, they try to draw the penalties. We try to point them out, and we got to do a better job with that. And it's probably the toughest task we have.
Do you know how many diving penalties you've called in the playoffs?
You tell me.
I think it's 5. Might be 6. We got about the same number as instigator
it's
penalties.
Tough. We've had one single diving penalty, but as I said, it's the toughest penalty to call. But what do? I could find them and I could sit them out and suspend them. Do you want to do that for diving?
Well, it's a good start. Because it makes a mockery of the game.
It's a tough thing to do. You're taking a guy out of a 7th game because you said he dove, and it's a tough thing to do. But the game is better. You can't skate, you can't play today.
Okay, let's go to the game is better, and everybody's happy. So and you're certainly not being brave because the media loves you, the fans love you, and I'm sorry for people that are ticked at me because it is. But it's 23 years of ref, and it drives me absolutely crazy. My solution to the other, Junior B, and you hear it's in the papers everywhere.
That was Junior C.
Yeah, well, in Junior C when I was lucky, I got down to Tilsonburg. The referee should just ignore the penalty. Just ignore the penalty, and don't worry about Colin diving. Just ignore this chintzy little thing. But let's just say you say it's a better game. Colin, all year long, it was power play after power play. 18,000 compared to 12,000.
I don't say it's a better game. Look, a lot of us don't like penalties. That's why we couldn't get to here. No one likes penalties. You want the players to decide, but we had to start calling penalties. If you look at the competition committee, the players that are on that, the ex-players, the general managers, and those are guys who have been around for a long time. And we talked about this, and the competition committee, once you look at the people that are on there, Shanahan, Gimler, Blake, Gartner, Lowe, Donnie Waddell, they've been through all parts of hockey. And whether it's college, whether it's junior, whether it's they've been in the game a long time. And when we looked at changing the rules, there was one aspect of changing the rules that was going to be the tough one, and that was the enforcement of the old rules, and that's the one that drives you nuts, right?
Right.
And so
because it's going to lead to diving. So the players would never stop hooking and holding, and tonight's the proof.
We took it to the subcommittee, and there's some good hockey guys in that committee. And we beat this up with tape. We beat that up with examples. We wanted to keep the battling in the corners, the battling in front of the net. But you had to allow the game to play. You had to allow the players to skate and to play. And it's a little tugs, and you're saying, don't call that little tug. You saw a couple of penalties in the first period.
Right.
But if you don't call the little tugs, you can't call the big tugs. And I know it's painful for some people. That's why we didn't get here.
Just because we don't have enough offense?
The general managers and the players on the competition committee want to reward offense. And by doing that, They had to look at what was helping the defensive teams get to where they got. And some of the little things was, when you're under pressure, shoot it over the glass. One of your favorite penalties.
Well, let's go to those. And you actually defended
how many
this
penalties have been called
on shooting it over the glass?
Yes.
It's not an epidemic, but it does seem to come up at crucial
But you know how many
moments.
penalties are called?
Tell me.
What do you think? How many penalties are called in the playoffs total?
For delay
I'd say per game. One a game.
Oh gosh, no. No, I bet you it's only happened 10 times in the playoffs.
One every 3 games.
Okay. What's that number?
It's It's 25 penalties overall, and it's a tough. And I think it's the same thing over the season. It's a tough penalty to call, and you know what? You didn't know how this was going to work. We'll go back to the players and the managers again.
Doesn't work.
Well, you'll go back
These
and
are
ask
skilled
them
guys.
again.
Brian Campbell was playing the best hockey of his life. Andrei Markov, skilled guy. That's game 5. That's
I wasn't a skilled guy. We only had 3-foot glass to deal with in the 70s.
Do you know how tall the glass is here in Edmonton?
It's probably 5 feet.
You're right. You know what it is in Raleigh?
Probably 6 feet.
You got it. So you know that.
How about
and
those
that's why
guys?
good for you. And that's why the players will never. It's not fair to them. Pronger, skilled guy.
But Ron,
that led to a 6-on-3.
you got to try these things. We had a whole year to talk about this.
Why? We had a great
people.
game. What are we trying it for?
We're trying to make our game better. It wasn't that great.
That's fair.
We wanted to make the game better, and you know what? I would have been glad. I didn't want to work all last summer. We would have sat by, but we had to make the game better, and people were telling us to make it better. It's 2 things that jumped out at us. It was, one, there was no lead changes. And you got to have some hope going into the 3rd period that you can score. And secondly, the players said they weren't having fun. And when the players said they weren't having fun, I'm going, come on, quit whining. But they said they weren't having fun. They wanted to play the game. And you know what? The coaches were smart enough to know what it took to stop goals from being scored. Do the little things. The coaches were getting too smart.
Well, and there's no doubt Gainey and Lowe, there's 2 defensive specialists opening up the game because they know how to stop goals.
Kevin Lowe was pretty offensive,
yes.
though.
Well, we showed that one clip of him earlier in the playoffs. But the problem with it is, Colin, it's gone too far in my estimation. It's that little chintzy thing in this vital game. I mean, gosh.
Well, you know what?
All year long. Well, like Don suggested on that over the glass. At least let's deal with that. I don't like the chintzy hooks in the attacking zone. I don't like Matt Green's penalty.
But if you don't call, why don't you start there?
I know.
If you don't call that, you know what? You're not calling it in September.
Call it diving. You've only called 5 in the whole playoffs. Call that penalty. It's in the book.
You referee. Can you see a dive on the ice right away?
Sure you can. I spent my life saying, no, it's nothing. You would always go like that. Paul Dvorsky used to be the king. He comes from hockey blood, refereeing blood. He knows what a dive is, and he would just tell the guy,
when you watch the replay, it's a
me.
tough thing out in the ice.
But back to, I'm losing my focus here.
No, you're not losing your focus.
Yeah, always. The over the glass.
I got you going.
Yes, you do.
Good,
the icing.
good.
Well, I'm fun. The icing it's the same thing. Don said it perfectly. When you ice the puck now, that's a great rule, and lots of these rules are. I think the red line helped to contribute to breaking the trap and all this other stuff. The attacking.
So if you took the icing out, couldn't change. You know what they're going to do? Shoot over the glass, get a change.
So what? Here, what's the big deal? It goes over the glass rarely, anyway.
Well,
guys aren't trying. You think they're trying to shoot it out?
Brian Campbell's a
great
offensive player. Carolina said, let's pound him. They're down in defenseman. They pounded him. The only out he had was to shoot it where he shot it.
That's synergy stick, puck rolling in the
Well, let's
June.
get rid of the synergy sticks.
No, I love those, but give them a break. Just put it deliberately, like you do with net off. We're out of time, right?
Yeah, but hold it there. One last thing.
Okay.
We did the competition committee and the general managers that threw all these things together over a year. The players, we pounded everybody, our staff. We came up with these things. No one says it's perfect. It's worked pretty good, and we got to go at it again this summer and say, okay, how can we make it better?
Thanks to Colin Campbell.